This weekend project is me repurposing my wife's shoe container. Now, don't worry, I'm going to rebuild her a new one, but I'm going to take this old one and take it apart. Now, it's got some rough edges on it, so I need to give it covered for this next project. I grabbed some contact paper I have, and I'm going to lay it out to get the right measurement. I'm going to do all four sides equally and make sure I cut along the edge instead of wrapping the whole thing at one time. Once I got it cut, then I need to peel it away. It is really sticky, so you got to be careful that it doesn't stick anything you don't want to. I'm going to crease the inside, turn it over, and get it lined up perfectly in one corner. Then I'm going to flatten it out with my hand and start working back a little bit as I go, pulling the contact paper at the same time. Again, going back and forth, make sure I don't get any wrinkles or any bubbles. Once I get it all the way pulled off, I'm going to have a little extra just hanging over the sides. I'm going to take a nice sharp razor blade and cut that along the edge. Then I'm going to take a putty knife and just squeeze it all out, make sure I get all the wrinkles out. The next thing I need to do is I need to build some legs for this next project. I'm going to take this little 1x2, mark it at 16 inches, and I'm going to cut it. There's 4 corners to this box, so I'm going to need actually 8 of these sticks. I'm going to use the first one I cut as a template to mark all the rest of them and cut them at 16 inches. Once I do that, I'm going to turn the box upside down. That way, when I put the legs on, it's got a nice flat spot to put it against the table. I'm going to use some brad nails to put these in. I can also add some glue if I want. That will also do the trick. But the reason I needed 8 of them is I'm going to put 2 on each quarter, one overlapping the other. Once I put these 2 corners in, I'm going to go ahead and do my 3rd and my 4th. Again, just using some brad nails to hold it together, and it's going to make it really strong. Next, I'm going to add some potting soil. Yeah, that's right, some potting soil. I'm going to put that in. It's nice and dry, not too wet or anything. Once I get that potting soil all smoothed out, I want about 3 to 4 inches. I'm going to bring it inside the house. Then I'm going to add a little bit of pea gravel. I wanted to find some white gravel, but I couldn't find any local, so I just used this. Once I get that gravel all spread out, I'm going to take some fake shrubbery and put it around. You can use real if you want, you just got to make sure you have a nice waterproof base. But this fake stuff's going to look really good. And then I found this glass piece at a thrift store, perfectly fits on top. I got really lucky on this and it just looks absolutely amazing. I love how it turned out. I had an old metal filing cabinet that I didn't want to just toss away. First thing I did though was take the heavy drawers out. I'm going to probably save those later for another project, but these little metal pieces, they can go. They don't need those. Next, I'm going to take that filing cabinet. It's super light now, and I'm going to turn it over and use the back of my hammer. I'm going to put some drain holes in the bottom. If you've had a stressful day, this is a great activity. Next, because it's so much lighter, I can turn it back over and I'm going to start priming it. I'm going to use a gray primer instead of white. I love how much it covers, and the great thing about it is if there's any rust marks, this gray primer will cover it all the way up. Once I get that up, it's okay to let it start drying, and I'm going to start cutting some timber up. I use these 2x3s. They're perfect to build a trellis in the back. And I'm also going to use my Craig jig because it's great for pocket holes. These pocket holes are nice because they hide the screw once you put them in, and they're super strong. What I'm going to do is lay these out, these boards, and I'm going to go ahead and use the Craig jig pockets that come with them and put them in place. Once I get them all screwed in, the actual screws are hidden and you won't see them, especially being on the back side. It also makes them super strong. Once I get this thing built, then it's time to go ahead and lay out the trellis. I'm not going to need all of this, so I'm going to mark it, the width of the boards that I cut, and then I'm going to use my jigsaw to cut straight through. This trellis is vinyl and it's easy to cut. And then I'm going to take the trellis and then put it down and use staples to adhere it. I don't need to put any glue or anything. Staples are going to make it really strong and hold it in place. You can use screws if you need to, but staples will be just fine. Then I'm going to turn it back over, and I need to go ahead and attach the cabinet to the trellis. Just pre-drill and put some screws in there to hold it in place. Next, it's time for some paint. You want to get some good quality, and instead of brushing it on, I had this paint sprayer that I'm going to use. As you can see, look at how fine the spray is. I actually almost got this done with one coat. Once I put it on, make sure you're outside and that it doesn't watch out for the overspray. Once I get it on, I'm going to go ahead and paint the trellis also. And I did do 2 coats because it was white and it needed that second coat. Now it's time to put it in place, and I'm going to go ahead and put some filler in. I have some of these pine shavings from another project, so I'm going to go ahead and fill it up. And then once I got it full, it's time to put the plants in. That's why we put the bottom holes in, just in case when we go to water, it gives it something to seep out. I'm going to put these plants in place, use the pine filler to fill it up around the edges, and look at this project. It's so wonderful. I love how it looks. Instead of throwing that metal away, I was able to repurpose it with the trellis in the back and make it look super cool. And once the plants start to grow, they're going to grow up over the sides and up the trellis. I think this thing turned out super cool. I'm going to head down to Walmart to pick up an inexpensive storage bin. This one is perfect. I'm also going to pick up what's called a 1x3. They're 6 foot long. I'm going to cut them in half to make 3-foot pieces. I need 4 of these. I'm also going to pick up some fir strips. They come in a package and they're really inexpensive, and they're also rounded on all 4 sides. I'm going to take the storage bin and measure the width, and I also need to measure the length. I'm going to add 1.5 inches to each side. Once I do that, I'm going to start cutting the fir strips. I'm going to cut a bunch of these. I need them all around to surround the legs. Once I get that, I'm going to take those 2 legs, put them up on their sides, and I'm going to run some glue. Because I ran the glue, when I put the fir strips down, I only need to use 1 brad nail to hold it in place, because then eventually the glue will dry, making it extra strong. On the bottom of my legs, I'm going to measure up 6 inches, put some glue down, and I'm going to put 1 fir strip. This is going to make my legs really strong at the bottom. Once I get the brace on the bottom done, I'm going to put 6 more of these fir strips up, so I will actually have a total of 6 across the top. I'm going to put, again, 1 nail in each of these. I could put 2, but that is just a little bit of overkill, because once that glue dries, this whole project is going to be really strong. I'm going to make 2 sides. Once those are done, I'm going to put them up on their side and add some glue. Now these strips are 24 inches long. I'm going to do exactly like I did on the other ones. A strip at the top, a strip at the bottom for support, and then back to the top again, and lay out 6 of these pieces, matching the ones that I put on the other sides. Once those are down, I'm going to use just 1 brad nail in a line to hold the pieces in place. Once I get that all nailed up, I will be able to then flip the project over and do exactly the same. Starting with one side, I'm going to put the 24-inch piece in, nail it, and then put all the other pieces in and go up and down and nail every single one. I also need to build a brace to hold my bucket in the bottom of the project. I'm also going to start putting a trim around the top. This is where I'm going to bevel the edges at a 45 degree. Instead of just having a plain top, I want to put these beveled trim pieces on and give it a little bit of decor. Once I get those in with brad nails and glue, I'm ready then to go ahead and put the bucket in, but I need to drill some drain holes first. Once the bucket is in, the drain holes are done, then I'm going to add some potting soil. This is key right here. The best potting soil you can get will just make your project look really good. I put this one up by the front door. Once I get it done, look at that. It absolutely looks amazing. You can add some stain if you want. I will do that later on this project, but it looks absolutely amazing. I love it. I hope this inspired you to grab a bucket from Walmart, some cheap and expensive fir strips, and make you a nice looking planter up front. Thanks for watching Home Talk, and we'll catch you next time.